Welcome to the B Circle podcast. Together, let's be all God called us to be. Let's dive in.
Hello, welcome to the B Circle. I am so glad that you're joining us around the table today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Whatever platform you do that on, we give you a big thank you. Please like and follow us. That helps us too. But I'm glad you're here today. I got Breezy and Tish with me. Julie is with her family this week, and they're having a blast. And we miss her, but she will be back very, very soon. But I'm here with the girls. What's up, girls? What's happening today?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good.
What's going on in your world?
Transition, like we talked about last week. But I'm still rolling with it.
You're still rolling with it.
I'm here.
You're
It's
here.
okay.
That's good. I'm still here. What about you, Missy?
I'm just trying to get back into the groove of things.
Why?
We've been on the road.
We have?
Yeah.
And that's right, we have. We really
You've
have
been gone for like 3 weeks. And I'm just trying to feel like I'm putting my life back together.
We're trying to be all that God's called us to be, aren't we?
Just got to get our calendar in order.
That's right.
Yeah.
My structure and routine.
We kind of got in trouble yesterday, didn't we, over our calendar mishap?
What happened?
And I
Tell me about it.
never again.
Well, we just kind of boobed real big and invited somebody to come to church and preach when we already had somebody else coming that day, and then all kinds of stuff. And then I had to take care of one situation, and then Pastor Mark had to take care of another situation, and he kind of told me and Tisha, y'all better get your calendars right.
We said, yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. It'll never
Sir,
happen again.
yes, sir.
We got it.
Never do that again.
I felt horrible.
It was pretty bad. But we took care of it.
That's good.
It all worked out. Anyway, have y'all ever messed up on your calendar? Because we sure did. We made a big mess. But you know what? I'm so grateful, girls, that even though we can mess up, there's always another chapter.
Yes.
There's always a next after this. And that's what I love about what we're doing and combining and merging the B Circle and my story. We're combining and merging these DNAs. And we're saying there's life after my story, and there's life after the B Circle, and there's life after whatever happened yesterday that wasn't good, whatever happened last month that wasn't good. We always have an opportunity to write another chapter.
Yes.
And I'm excited about that because we are doing some writing, aren't we?
We are.
Some big changes.
Yep. Shake the dust off and keep walking.
Keep moving. But I was thinking about new things and new chapters and next chapters. Tish almost had a next chapter not very long ago.
Oh my gosh.
Tell us about it.
That chapter was a little crazy a few years ago.
Don't get so quiet about it. We need to hear this in big time volume.
I went to Rwanda, and this trip I was by myself. I didn't take a team with me. And
Never go by yourself.
yeah, learn that lesson.
Never look.
Yeah. And so I took a team. I didn't take a team with me. I was there for a week just visiting Pastor Willie. And he told me, on Sunday, you go to the English speaking church and I'll send so-and-so to go with you. And I said, okay, great. So I wasn't alone going into that church, and great service. So we decided after just like here, we would go out to lunch. And so the person with me said, hey, I want to take you to a place not in town that you haven't been before. It's a little ways away. So, okay, no problem. So I should have known right there.
Red flag.
Hold up, put the brakes. No, we're going to Meze Fresh. No, I didn't say that.
We're going to the Dairy Queen.
Yeah, I should have said that. So we get there, and we're literally, Rwanda's known as the country of 1,000 hills. So we're like on top of this mountain, and it's this little, what we would call a hole in the wall restaurant. Never been there. And so we get there, and this gentleman starts professing his love for me. Guys.
Oh my gosh.
We all I'm awkward and I don't flirt anyways. And so he is like professing his love to me, and I am sitting there bug-eyed. I know I was. Someone should have been there to tell me to fix my face. And so he's sitting there telling me, Tisha, like, I just really would like to get married. And he's going on and on and on. And I'm sitting there freaking out on the inside. And I just, at the end, I told him, I am so sorry, but I just do not feel that way. I said, I just don't think that's where God has me. And I tried to gently tell him, like, this is absolutely not happening. And so Pastor Willie did not know. I didn't tell him for a long time because I didn't want the guy to get in trouble. And so I came back to the hotel. It was very awkward the whole rest of the time. And in fact, I was just going, oh my gosh, this meal is taking forever over there. It's not like a drive.
They have to kill chicken.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so this lunch was like forever long. And I just kept going, oh my gosh, like to get back off of this mountain, this is a 5-hour day. It seems
So
like.
it basically was a slow motion movie.
Yes, it was a slow motion movie. And when I got back to the hotel, I was absolutely mortified. I called Bree actually, and I told her, like I just got proposed to on the mountain, and where the gorillas are, like on the mountain. Literally just got proposed to with no ring.
With no ring. Oh, I didn't have a ring?
No, because culturally, I think the ring comes later. It's not really like here. But anyways, so I called my mom. And this was the funny part of the story because over there, when they do marriage, they give up cattle or animals, and to the bride's family. And so my mom, when I told her, she starts laughing and she goes, how much cattle were you going to get? Because I deserve goats, dogs, chickens.
I was like, I don't care if you marry, but I just don't know what I'm getting.
I need the whole farm.
She said it.
And so now I can laugh about it, but oh my gosh, that was just a crazy day. One that I don't want to relive.
That was about to be your next chapter.
Yeah, and I had to put a stop to it.
So what happens when you get into a chapter that you don't want to be in? Like, how do you get out? How do we get out? I don't need you tell me. How do we get out? You tell me.
I'm in the middle of a chapter. Tell me, Pastor Angela. Oh my goodness. You know what? The truth is,
We're having fun with this. But the truth is, we all do find ourselves in chapters that we don't want to be in.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I've learned about chapters is they do end.
Yeah.
And the quicker that we can find the joy and find the good, like now, Tisha, you didn't want to marry him. You weren't going to marry him.
No.
But now you can look back on it and you can laugh.
Yes.
And you can even find the good in it to the fact that you portrayed a woman of God, that this gentleman wanted you to be a part of his life.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't a chapter that you were interested in. And I think he went on and he married and he's writing his chapters and has a beautiful family. But sometimes we find ourselves in these chapters that we don't want to be in and we're just waiting for that next chapter. We're just hoping, when is the next chapter coming? And I think one of the things that I've learned in life is that the quicker that we can be grateful. Yeah. And begin to look and say, God, what are you delivering me from, or setting me free from, or saving me from by me being in this chapter? I can look back at some chapters in my life that were uncomfortable. They were not great. They were awful. And for every day that I complained about that chapter, I stayed in that chapter longer. But when I could begin to find the good in that chapter and say, God, I thank you, for this or for that, even for the things that were bad. I thank you for those things. It's almost like you go to bed and you wake up and it's over.
That's so true. PA, I recently was in a season, and I've told you about this before, but I kept telling myself over and over, you're in a deep, dark pit. Like, it's dry. You're never going to get out. And that was my mindset because I felt so in that hole that I could never climb up out of it. And I kept telling myself that. And you came to me one day at a service and you told me, prophesy a new season, Tisha. And when I started doing that, it felt like immediate relief, immediate changes were happening. But I was confessing the negative so much that it caused me to stay there longer than I really believe the Lord ever intended me to. But I couldn't see past the darkness. So when my word shifted after you told me that, I felt like I got out of that like at lightning speed. Yeah. And I wish I would have done that sooner. Yeah. But I learned. So now when I go through transition seasons, I'm quick to say, no, God, you've got me.
Yes.
And it changes everything.
it changes everything because we can have what we say. And I think we forget that as Christians. We just get to talk what we see instead of talking what we desire.
Yeah.
You know, if it looks bad, we talk about how bad it is. You know, if it's uncomfortable, we talk about how uncomfortable it is. But if we could ever just get to the place where we're in a chapter that we don't want to be in, to just be like, God, I thank you for my next chapter.
Yeah.
And I thank you that the next chapter is better than this chapter. I thank you that the next chapter, I've got joy. The next chapter, I've got strength. The next chapter, my life is good. My marriage is good. My heart is good. My ministry is good. Everything's good in my next chapter.
Right.
And begin to think about how good it's going to be instead of focusing on how bad it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would say, you know, the Lord's been telling me, like, you need to stop complaining about where you were, you know? And because if we're constantly complaining, like you said, we're constantly putting that in front of us. And so learning to shift my perspective of that is kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So you saying that is encouraging.
Sure.
Because, and again, that's what I like about the B Circle, because we're all in different stages. So even just sitting here learning and, you know, and not
Well, and remember the children of Israel, they stayed in the wilderness because of their mouths.
That's so true.
Because they complained. And when they stopped complaining, you know, and that's what I used to tell my kids when they would get to complaining. I'd say, well, just keep complaining and you'll be right there this time next week.
Yeah.
But change the way you're talking. Quit complaining. Like, you know, we're not going to complain. And then I have to talk to myself because you don't know what, sometimes I complain.
Oh, me too. I think we all do. Sometimes I have to look myself in the mirror and say, Tisha, get it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally will tell myself that sometimes and start quoting the word back over myself because I can get you. It's so easy to go by what you see around you instead of talking faith.
Yeah.
And the enemy doesn't want you talking faith.
He doesn't. And, you know, we get to talking and complaining like that. And sometimes my husband, he can shake me out of it real quick. When he uses that middle name, y'all know, Angela Jean, when he uses that middle name, it's a wake-up call for me. Straighten up. You know better.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to stay here. I want to move. I want to get into this next chapter. I want to see, because you said, what'd you say? You said, sometimes I just want to read the back of the book.
Yeah, I did say that.
But then we miss the whole experience and the whole journey. And that's not the way God intended it to be. You know, he talked about, you know, that to everything, there's a season.
Yeah.
Time to laugh, time to cry, time to weep, time to mourn.
Right.
That lets me know that there's going to be chapters of weeping, mourning, laughing.
It also,
you know,
it also makes me think about sitting here just thinking about it. If I get so focused on wanting to focus on the last page of the book and not the process and everything, who am I missing in the middle of that and connecting with people? Because I'm not going through something for myself, but also for other people around me. Because my testimony and what I go through will help somebody else.
Right.
And so if I, you know, want to skip to the end of it, then I miss all that. And that's the purpose of it, you know, to help somebody else. Because you said something to me one time where it's not necessarily about us. It's about the other person.
That's right.
You know, and so even though sometimes flipping that page is hard,
Right.
you know, and it's good at the same time, you know, it's for the other person too, that you're going to connect with down the road. And I want to be an encourager and somebody that speaks faith and the word of God to somebody else in the midst of their changing chapters.
Right.
and that's what we do in a circle.
Yes, we do.
We do.
We do.
That's what we do in a circle. We help each other.
You know, we often say we're better together, but it's true because two are better than one, you know, and you start adding in the people, you know, we talk about this often, but we are all at different stages of life. And that brings such wisdom and guidance and strength to one another, in my opinion, because we're better together. And when we don't have the answer, one of us does, or when we need our faith built, someone's there to build our faith. And that's empowering.
It is. You know, and that's why we say, be all that God's called you to be. We were talking about this in a conversation lately about, David. David got in trouble because he wasn't being what God called him to be. He should have been out in battle with his men, but instead he was at home where he shouldn't have been. And when he was where he shouldn't have been, he got into trouble. And subsequently had to add another chapter to his life that wasn't probably his best chapter. And I want to be where God has called me to be so that I can get through the chapter. There's chapters of joy sometimes that you think, oh, I just don't want this to end. But everything has to have an ending. But what we got to look forward to is that the next chapter exceeds the last chapter and only gets better.
It does.
And greater instead of worse. But so many times they're like, well, if this ends, then what? Well, there's just something better.
Yes, absolutely. Right. I feel like I keep going back to this when it's just in random conversations or with you guys. But some of our church members went through a season of constantly feeling like this is too good to be true because they went through a rough season. And Pastor Donita came to us and said, God is a sustaining God. You don't have to, life should never be you being tossed around like the winds and the waves. It's sustaining. And so I feel like we don't have to be scared of new chapters because, yes, every season comes with its own links. We know that. But he's still a sustainer through it all. And when you focus on that, then those little bumps in the road feel like just
nothing, just like a little crack. Well, if Julie was here, she would say, well, my new chapter is going to be sitting by a pool with a pool umbrella and suntan lotion and my grandbaby and my pineapple drink. So I don't know what your next chapter is. Don't know where you're at right now in your chapter you're in. But I know this. God has great things for us in our next chapter. And I'll encourage you today, just go ahead and start rejoicing for where you're at so that you can get that pen and paper out and write your next chapter. Because I promise God is in it and he loves you. And we're so grateful that you joined us today on the B Circle. We'll be back again with more topics, more fun, and we're real. We love the Lord and we love our audience. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching or listening to The B Circle. If this week's podcast helped you, or if you want to know more, please contact us at thebcircle@gmail.com. Join us next week for more. Remember, be all that God's called you to be.